Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every morning by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Be sure to tell us where you're checking in from this morning, what you're drinking, get your questions in. You all know the drill by now. Don't forget, we'll have Tony Heels, Hump Day with Heels, joining us here in just a little bit as well. That always makes for a fun and exciting time. Wake you up a little bit quicker in the mornings, to say the least. But guys, let's start with portal madness, as you coined it, Jerry. The portal is open, and what are we expecting?
Well, I mean, look, it's going to be a lot of guys go in. There's going to be a lot of guys that don't find the homes they want. That's the 35,000-foot view. Some people are probably overestimating their value. There's going to be some agents that talk guys into the portal that are may or may not be happy with the returns. That's the 35,000-foot view. And where in the hell is Nico going to end up? Nobody knows. It seems like it's like nobody knows. But then there's the Texas side of things. Look, and we know wide receiver Emmett Mosley is already in. One of the top wide receivers that will be in the portal in the spring is already in. We know Texas is looking for a tight end. We know they're looking for interior D linemen. And now it's really maybe an edge too. Bobby, now it all comes down to who actually enters the portal. I mean, that from a Texas standpoint, that's what really matters here. There's a lot of names in the portal, but from the Texas standpoint, who's going to actually enter the portal that Texas will have interest in?
That is a key point. You talk about tight end, and a name out there that's been tied to Indiana heavily is Jack Indries, the tight end out of Cal, who I think Pro Football Focus has him as the number 2 ranked tight end coming back next year in the country. The reality of it is he hasn't officially entered the portal yet. But a lot of people think Indiana's the team. Oklahoma's going after him. Miami, Alabama, a number of teams. Texas would probably are very much like to be involved. But right now it's one of those things where everybody's going to try to be involved with these guys. And so for the true difference makers, I think it's a land grab or a land rush or gold rush, whatever you want to call it. And that's what's going on right now with certain players. But Andres is certainly one. Jerry, you mentioned the defensive tackle need, the possibility of a defensive end. I wrote about that this morning on Texas Football. I think, you look at the wide receiver role. I think that's been filled now by Emmett Mosley. Steve Sarkisian had mentioned that. But, if they find somebody that is a good returner that could solve some return problems at the same time, maybe they take a look there. And then above and beyond that, Sark likes to be opportunistic. And when I say, yes, tight end, D-line, interior, maybe an edge, and then X, whatever that is, what I mean by that is somebody like Andrew Makuba, who, did Texas need a safety last year? Probably not. Are they happy they took one? Yes. You know what I mean? And so those kind of guys that might make a real difference in your team that just come out and become available, have a natural tie to Austin, maybe something like that, or Texas as a whole, could be a big piece. And somebody saying we need a Silas Bolden 2.0, maybe, as a return guy. They definitely need a return guy if Jonah Williams doesn't work out, if Ryan Niblett or DeAndre Moore aren't difference makers at that position in their eyes. But the bigger piece for me, as I look at Jerry called it portal madness, and I think it's a great term, is Texas right now has an opportunity to be very calm, cool, and calculated. Okay. They don't have, unlike a lot of these teams, North Carolina's trying to sign a quarterback. Tennessee's trying to sign a quarterback, imperative that they do. Nico, by the way, went in with a no contact tag. Jerry, I don't know if you knew that or not.
Yeah, somebody said that. That doesn't mean he knows where he's going. That just means he's not taking calls from everybody.
Right, exactly. But what I was going to get at is Texas is being very calculated here. They don't have to go out there and sign 7 or 8 guys. This is not, oh boy, we're untalented and we need to backfill the roster. Texas has a very talented roster, and so it gives them the opportunity, frankly, a lot like Ohio State in years past, to kind of be highly, highly selective with who they're going after in the portal. And I think Georgia was the same way. They only went after studs.
Yeah.
And I think Texas is trying to do the same thing right now. We'll see what comes of it. Could we hear something as soon as today on who Texas might be attacking? Of course. But there's no promises there because we got to wait for guys to go in the portal too. It's just now getting started. They're just now being reported, and teams are just now being able to make it go that direction. But I expect Texas to be very cool and calculated in this portal window. They're not going to just throw it all out there.
I would say this, a key point, and most of the people in the chat know this, but some people don't keep up with the actual rules of it. So I want to point this one out too. If somebody pops in from the SEC, they can't go to another SEC school and play immediately. Just so people are clear on that, because that's coming up a lot with Nico. Just people not wondering from a Texas standpoint, but just following the whole Nico saga. Unless you're going to sit out a year, you can't go SEC to SEC.
Oh, hey, Vanderbilt lost a 6'2", 320-pound interior defensive tackle. That started for them. Yeah, he would be a natural. I mean, that would be a really good fit for Texas, but he can't go to Texas and play this year.
Right.
So, to Jerry's point, there's going to be a lot of that. The one thing that was interesting that I've been hearing a lot of, there are teams contacting Texas players, but most of the Texas players want to play in the SEC. Okay. Because parents can go to the games more easily. It's where they're from naturally. And so this spring portal isn't as dangerous to Texas as the winter portal, right? Because if a player wants to play in the SEC, they can't transfer right now and then be immediately eligible to another SEC school. So that is another kind of thought process out there that I'm hearing behind the scenes that, Texas players want to keep playing in the SEC. So beyond that, they're going to, I think that has some clause in it for Texas to keep their guys.
Hey, there was something that I wanted to get into here that I thought was a great comment, and I want to get people's opinion and the chat's opinion on this. Oh, where is it? Dadgummit. Did I just say dadgummit? I did. I'll find it, but it was a great comment. Oh, Ben G. Interconference rule in April is dumb, hurting the conference more than anything. Chat, what are y'all's thoughts on that? Bobby, Blake, y'all have an opinion on that? I actually agree with Ben G.
I do too.
Why are you going to let a really good D tackle from Vanderbilt not decide to stay in the SEC? You're only hurting your own conference. I think that rule needs to go away. I think it's dumb.
I agree.
I don't have a problem with it. I think sitting here, I just don't have a problem with that at all. And the reason I don't have a problem with it is because it curbs interconference poaching. I mean, look, I know for a fact that there was a call made from a SEC school to the representative of a Texas player on the week of the SEC championship game, trying to coax that player into the portal. Okay. The less of that from other SEC schools, the better, in my opinion. So I agree with, I disagree with both of you guys on that. There needs to be less poaching, not more open game. And it's nice to say that about Vanderbilt being able to, but what about if it's Texas to Georgia and Georgia to Texas and vice versa, where you're having two teams that are genuinely competing for a national championship and all of a sudden it's fair game to go and poach. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all, actually.
All right, before we move on, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone out there about our sponsor today, and Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm.
Yeah, I guess if we argue about it enough, Jerry and Blake, we can actually go to a law firm and ask them to arbitrate for us. In all seriousness, Adam and the Lowy Law Firm have been helping injured Texans for more than 20 years now. Adam and the Lowy Law Firm help you if you've been in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind. Make sure you give Adam and his firm a shout. LoweyLawFirm.com. That's LoweyLawFirm.com. You've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, ATV, semi-trailer, or 18-wheeler, etc. Give him a shout. He'll give you a free, no strings attached consultation to let you know whether or not he and his firm think you might be due compensation. That's Adam over at LoweyLawFirm.com. Thank you for your ongoing support of On Texas Football.
Thank you for that, Bobby. All right, guys. Well, we've talked a little bit portal. Of course, we're going to get to all your portal questions here in just a little bit. But now let's talk a little high school recruiting. What do you have for us, Jerry Hamilton?
Yeah, so we were going to play the huddle tape of Luke Waffle out of the Hun School in Princeton, New Jersey. Wow, that's a man. If you get 1540 on the SAT, there you're left way behind at that school. By the way, I know that my sister lives in Princeton, but this is one of the top edge prospects in the country. He has a June 20th through 22nd OV, as we've been saying for weeks. A guy that really likes Texas. His brother signed with Michigan, I believe, is now at Penn State. But he was on campus the last couple of days. He'll be back for a June 20th OV. That was his third time on campus unofficially. A guy that Kyle Flood has been recruiting for a while with his ties up to New Jersey and New York in that area. And now Alan Clark is involved in that recruitment, and Kenny Baker a little bit. But Luke Waffle, one of the top edge prospects on the board, one of the top edge prospects in the country, was on campus the last couple of days and will be back for a June official visit. That's the 20th through 22nd. I think your Big Ten schools are your main competition there for Luke Waffle, but a really, really good player. And like we said, some guys will be trickling through. Devon Benjamin, the Oaks Christian safety, who's one of the top targets for Texas, will be on campus today, tomorrow, I believe. Caden Finley of Aledo scheduled to be in this weekend, and that's all before the big Fan Fest weekend, which a lot of top guys will be back on campus or will be on campus that weekend like they were this last weekend. But Luke Waffle, one of the top edge prospects in the country, one of the top edge prospects on the board, and this kid likes Texas a lot. I'm not saying he's going to Texas, but he's made 3 unofficial visits now from Princeton down to Texas. You don't do that unless you have a real serious interest in the University of Texas. This is a academic and athletic recruitment, as would be expected if you go to the Hun School.
You have a brother at Penn State, is that right?
Yeah.
So
Somebody's asking how big he is. He's probably 6'4.5", 250, 245, 250 right now. But I just love how violent he is with his hands at a young age. This guy's he's got some violence on contact for a young player.
Yeah, I've been up to that school once before, Jerry. There's a guy named Myron Roll that played for them back in the day. The thing about New Jersey high school football, it's actually much more talented than people might give it credit for. It is the most talented state in that region of the country, and they're pretty good coaches. Like as a whole, it's a good coaching group, very tight-knit coaching group as well. So it reminds me, believe it or not, a little bit of Texas in that there's a lot of just blue-collar coaches in that love kids and love to coach football and are good teachers as well. So I think people underestimate New Jersey football. It's obviously not Texas, Florida, et cetera, but it's better than most people give it credit for.
Their NFL per capita is pretty high. By the way, I went to the school once. They wouldn't let me pass the gate. So
yes,
I haven't been in the school. I just got to the front of the school. Yeah, I wasn't smart enough to get in there.
Yes, that's the point, right? That's the point.
All right, guys, we're going to pause on recruiting momentarily because I believe our weekly special guest is here. Tony Hill's in the house. How we doing this morning?
Man, if it's not the smooth voice criminal himself, Mr. Blake Monroe, baby. How you doing, man?
Hey, Tony, I got something special for you. I got to do an ad read real quick, okay?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready for it. Come on.
Ready?
Come on. Yeah.
All right, guys, let's get those grundles smelling good. Why Mando? I'm talking about Mando. It's the whole body deodorant. Safe to use anywhere on your body. Your pits, your balls, your thigh folds, your belly button, your butt crack, and your feet. This was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. Mando's clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. Man, or a really bad official, visit the Texas A&M. Mando deodorant product options are solid deodorant stick, formulated and powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts, or spray deodorant, aluminum-free and ideal for those hard-to-reach places. All products are baking soda-free and paraben-free. Choose from a variety of fresh scents like bourbon leather, cloverwoods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport. Most important part of the read here, guys, clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. 12 hours after a shower, the average man's grundle odor level was a 5 out of 10, or what the Oklahoma spring game attendance looked like. With Mando, the average grundle level is a 0 out of 10. Smelling great, man. That's a good place to be. Want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant formula right now? You can find them at Walmart, Target, or other retailers across the country. For the best deals, go to shopmando.com. Get $5 off your starter pack with the exclusive code ONTexas, all caps. That's 40% off your starters pack at shopmando.com. Let's get those grundle levels to a 0.
What's your grundle level, Tony, this morning? What is it?
I plead the fifth, man. Listen, Jerry, my God, the way that just comes out of you, man, I can tell what type of kid you were.
Yeah.
I can tell what type of kid you were. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you were the dirty joke guy, for sure.
Still am.
For sure. Yeah. Well, look, I look forward to seeing you next week, man. I'll be down there, man. We got to do something, Jerry. What can we do for the fans? I know we got Fan Appreciation Day coming.
I am working on that, Tony. Yeah. That's my job. That's my job, baby.
Well, I don't want to take your job, Bobby. You've been doing it great. I just want to do something, man. I got to see, I love the energy. I can feel it even through the virtual, YouTube sphere. So I want to get around that, man.
Hey, Tony, we're watching and we listened to Steve Sarkisian this week. He came to the mic on Monday and talked a little bit about his offensive line.
Yeah.
And how it's trying to come together right now with some new faces. Mm-hmm. You've done that before.
Yeah.
They're 10 days in, 10 practice. They're actually on the practice field right now, by the way, guys. Mm-hmm. And there are, we should mention that. And they're going to have a media availability here at 11 o'clock. Jeff Howe and CJ Vogel will be there for us. But Tony, the question I had for you, as it relates to something Sark said, is when do those guys kind of start really gelling and knowing what each other can do? Is it take 6 games in? Does it take the first couple of games? Or can it really happen in a spring? Like, what are realistic expectations for Texas fans of the 2025 offensive line, given the pieces that they have?
I think so it's about understanding how you build like a temple, right? Think about it. You have to build the foundation. Then once you build the foundation, you build the frame. And then once the frame is built, you start building it, interiorly. So everything has to be built exteriorly first and then interiorly afterward. The spring is about, it's not just about gelling and coming together, because realistically, you have to look at it from a standpoint of this. Even though we're practicing and we're going hard, there's still a propensity to be able to make sure that we're keeping guys up in a certain way and we're not finishing guys in a certain way because we don't want guys to get hurt. So we want to, it's called practicing as a professional, right? So that strain that you would have in a game, you're not going to have sometimes in a spring, because you want to make sure you're protecting your buddy, right? You're still going to be able to get good work, but you want to make sure you're protecting your buddy. So I think the spring is more about being consistently sound with the fundamentals, with the pad level, with the strike, with the footwork, and understanding how we move as one unit. I think that's what spring ball gives you, right? Just being crisp, okay? When we get into the season, for me, I think it usually takes somewhere between 4 to 5 games. So about a month for an offensive line. And the reason being is because you got to look at the first 2 weeks. We're playing different teams. We're getting different looks. About a month in, you have enough game film to understand tendencies of the conference plays of the conference play that you're going to be going into, right? And so, like for instance, you go to the Big House, you see what they have. The Big Ten presents something a little different than the Big 12, right? The Pac, I don't know, it's not the Pac-10 anymore, but the Pac presents something bigger than the SEC, right? So you have to see all of these different looks. That usually takes 4 to 6 weeks. After that, Now it's the identity. So in the spring, there's a particular identity that we think we are, but during the season, now we're actually solidifying who we are. And so I know Texas wants to be a physical run team, so they're going to start with that. And that's really going to be about the interior three. We talked about that earlier. Can we move guys off the ball? And if they're doing that in spring and then they're able to do that in week 1, week 2, week 3, have good showings, they'll be fine. Last point is this. They're going to have to make those mistakes early, right? The missed assignments, the missed blocks, the missed targeting, and be able to understand how they overcome that as a unit, right? Not panicking in pressure situations. Because a lot of these guys, even though they've been in big games, they haven't been in big games from first quarter to fourth quarter. So this is going to be their first time doing that. So there's a lot of nuances. But to answer your question, which I was flying a plane on, I'm going to land it, I say somewhere around 4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6, which happens to be, I mean, frankly, historically, right around the time the OU game rolls around.
And that's when you want to be rolling.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Hey, question for you as it relates to that. What's the and Jerry and I, we've all talked about this. One of the themes that we've been mentioning this week has been this is now Arch Manning's offense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so given that, from an offensive line perspective, what are your thought processes given his strengths versus that of Quinn Ewers? How does that change an offensive lineman's mindset? Are they more aggressive because they know their quarterback might be able to run? More aggressive is not the right word, I don't think, because obviously offensive linemen are going to be aggressive regardless. But how does the mindset change for an offensive lineman when they know their guy might take another big deep shot or might be able to, create a little something in the run game? Any theoretical differences there for an offensive lineman?
Absolutely. Anytime that you have a mobile quarterback like an Arch Manning, in the pass game, what it does is it makes the pass protection a little easier. Defensive linemen are not so quick to fire off and get out of their gaps and take risks because they understand what happens if they do, right? So we talked about this before. You might have a team that loves to run games, right? ET stunts, in tackle stunts, TT stunts, NTTE, all these different stunts that they like to run, look all pretty, moving sideways and lateral. But what happens is that when you move somebody, for instance, say you run an in tackle stunt on the left side of the line, right? Left tackle, left guard side. And that end crashes down and that defensive tackle doesn't get over enough. If that tackle is able to pass that end off flat to that guard, you literally have a gaping hole for Arch to roll out and hit 20, 30, 40 yards on a scramble. That does something for the defensive coordinator to understand I cannot be aggressive in this pass rush calling like I usually are. So now that presents what we like to call a straight rush. Why that is important for people that are listening is because if it's a straight rush, now I know you have to play gap integrity football. So you play to my strength, right? Because I know the play, I know where we're going, I know the spot that I need to get to. So I have all the answers to the test, and you just have to react to it. So it makes the game a little easier from that regard. In the run game, if they bring back the mid-draw, you remember how Colt and Vince used to run the mid-draw?
Yeah.
They bring that back, it freezes the linebackers, which allows the tackles and the guards to get up to the second level. And that's the thing that when you start seeing that give and that running back hit that hole and now he's in the middle of the defense cutting the teeth for 20, 30 yards, it's because the linebackers have to now play that gap integrity. If Arch pulls this ball, he's dangerous enough with his legs to be able to make something happen. But if he gives it, we've slowed the linebackers down enough so now they can't just react, right? They actually have to read and react. So now we slowed the linebackers down enough for our linemen to climb up and get position on them. I anticipate Arch having a dynamic season by being able to keep the chains moving. My only concern for Arch is he's so freaking competitive and he's not afraid to drop the shoulder because he's big that I really just want him to understand that you are the most important piece to this run and it's okay to get down.
Yes.
My only thing. When it comes to running, it's okay to get out of bounds. Like I would love to see Arch play his game similar to how Patrick Mahomes plays it. He knows that I can't take big shots, get what I can and get out, move the chains. As long as we're moving the chains, we have an effective offense.
Hey, is a byproduct of that too, Tony, the middle of the field, if you can hold the linebackers,
Oh my God.
the middle of the field will be more open this year than it was last year in the passing game. Because I
Absolutely.
felt like you couldn't really hold the linebackers as well last year. They could get a little more depth on their drops. They didn't have to be as cognizant. Is that a byproduct?
Absolutely, because the reality is with Quinn, as great as a mid-range passer as he is, he doesn't scare you with his ability to escape the pocket.
Right.
So as a linebacker, I'm running 4-4. I can sit back here and just play the field. I can play the space. If he decides to take off, I have enough speed to cover ground. You can't do that with Arch. So now what happens is if you get the running game going, it forces safeties to come up, linebackers to come up, which then what? Helps with the deep shot, which we know that's Arch's strong suit. And it also, the play action, coming off the play action, like Sark wants to get on the boundary, that becomes a viable weapon. And now the tight end becomes a weapon as well. So I think that from an anticipation standpoint, what I believe is that the entire field is going to be open to what Texas wants to do offensively, as opposed to how we were kind of slowly and methodically marching down the field last year and then making some spectacular plays with the talent that we had. Last year's offense was just about spectacular plays. It really was. I mean, the Goldens and, Trey Wisner and the Blues, like it was about spectacular plays. This year, I think it's going to be more of a methodical approach and explosiveness. So we'll see.
Hey, I got to ask you a question. We're about to play a highlight video of one of the top offensive tackles in the country, Kenyatta Pepe, who's going to visit Texas June 20th, but he's originally from SoCal. He's at IMG. But I wanted to ask you about the Nico situation. Okay? If you were a player on the Tennessee team, what would your thought? I mean, you're his left tackle.
Yeah.
Look, we all understand what NIL, we all understand it, but the timing of it, not showing up at a spring practice, not texting your teammates or coaches back, what would your reaction have been, and what would the locker room's reaction have been?
So that's a two-part question, G. And the reason being is because what mentality am I in?
Yeah.
Am I collegiate mentality or am I in a professional mentality? If I answer it from a professional mentality standpoint, I get it, man. You want to get your money. Everybody else is getting paid. I'm the starting quarterback. I believe this is my value. At least let's have a conversation about a raise, right? So I understand it. I don't take it personal. If I'm in my collegiate space where the thought process is team and camaraderie and sportsmanship and all of these things that they teach us, right? Then yeah, I'm a little hurt because like, man, I'm out here going to battle for you, man, and we can't even talk. You can't even give me your thought process, your side or your side of it or anything. Like, to hell with what they got going on. You and I have a relationship. So I don't think, in my opinion, he handled that part of it well. But listen, I do understand. We're in a different world, man. This is minor league football now.
Yeah.
You got Pavia lobbying for 2 extra years. There's another lawsuit that I seen where guys were saying, hey, I didn't really get to, show what I could do, so I should have more years, right? So it's all types of stuff happening. The landscape of college football is no longer what us old timers, think it is and think what it should be about. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying that's what it is. And so in this new climate, I think what we're going to have to start seeing for guys that play those important positions, they're going to have to start making better decisions as it pertains to how you want to lead, right?
Yes.
Because what we saw a situation to where one believed that he was an immovable force, but he ran up into an impenetrable object, that being Tennessee. And I don't think that he thought it through when Tennessee said, all right, cool. Well, good luck to you. Right. And what does that do? What does that do for that particular individual? I heard you guys talking earlier about not being able to go to another SEC team. Well, we know that in the NFL, the SEC holds big weight.
Yep.
So it wasn't just the money now that you missed out on. Now it could potentially be the opportunity to be scouted for the next level, if that was your goal, for the best conference in college football. And so there's a lot of fallout that comes from this. And I think that whoever his representation was, I don't really think they thought everything through. I don't think they looked at it from a 30,000-foot view.
Yes.
They looked at it from a myopic approach.
Yes.
Now they're going to have to deal with that. And here's the sad thing. Whoever the representation is, they'll move on to another athlete if this doesn't work out. For Nico, brother, you could have just killed an opportunity. And that, for me, is the sad part because he's a good quarterback. And I think he's a good kid. He just probably just got bad advice.
His dad was part of it, Tony, and then a guy that was a former GA was the advisor that's done that with, overplayed his hand more than once, in my opinion.
So here's my question. What's the background?
Yeah.
What has Dad done? Has Dad been in sport? Has he been in a situation like this? We know the GA hasn't, right? So a lot of times, man, one of the hardest things to do as a man with kids, and your kid is in the spotlight, is to come to somebody and look for help to say, I don't understand what's going on and I don't know what to do, as opposed to trying to act like you do. And now you could have just ruined your son's opportunity to play not only college football at a high level, but also go to the next level. And to me, I can only attribute that. I'm not saying this, I don't know these individuals, but I can only attribute that thought process to pride. And like they say, pride first and then the fall. And hopefully we don't see that, but that's what it looks like right now. I guess we'll have to watch and see.
All right, Tony, you have time to watch this player with us. I know you've already seen him behind the scenes, and talk a little bit about Kenyatta Pepe.
You talking about the 6'6", 330-pound freak? Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Talk about causing people to fall. Here you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, so when you talk about his strengths, he has a prototypical size as a professional offensive tackle, right? Guys like 6'6", 330. Right, he can move, athletic as hell, has great feet work, he plays with really good balance and technique. That's one of the things that you'll be able to see here. And then obviously playing at IMG, when you talk about the competition, he's played some pretty high level competition as well. If you look at the areas of development, it's going to always be this way when you're looking at guys at 6'6". It's going to be the leverage in the pad level. He has to be able to get his pads underneath people, because now when you look at him, he's tossing people around left and right. I promise you're not going to be swinging, potential first round, second and third round picks like that. You're going to have to play with some technique. You're going to have to play with some pad level. And then one of the things that he does too, because of his length, is I think he plays a little bit over his toes, so that causes him to get overextended, right? So those are some of the things that I saw. But also run blocking, he has to get a little better. He's a thrower, but in run blocking, you got to be able to drive guys. You're not going to be able to just push guys and throw guys around. And the reality is that you actually sometimes don't want to do that. You want to take guys and displace them to be able to create lanes for the back. So, those are some things that he's going to have to do. But I will say this, the thing that I do like is I was doing some research on him, and I found out that he played actually varsity ball as a freshman and a sophomore. So when you talk about somebody that is built for the moment and has been built for the moment at a young age, I see the intrigue of this particular individual. Has some great moves with the snatch pull, long arm. He stays balanced in the pass protection for the most part. Those areas of improvement will come. And that's the reason you recruit these kids. It's about development. So those are some of the things that I saw from him. And I'm excited to see what he ends up doing. I heard you say he's coming to Texas in June, G.
Yeah, he is. He's originally from SoCal and then moved out to IMG Academy. USC is going to be a big player for him. Miami, Florida, Texas, maybe Alabama. Those are your schools. But again, we've talked about before that offensive tackles Texas is in on this class. It's like everybody has their favorite players, right? Amongst the Texas fan base. But I look at this more like, Tony, you've looked at all these guys. If Texas walks away with 2 of these 5 offensive tackle prospects, you're a happy guy as an offensive line coach. We just got two of the top 6, 7 offensive tackle prospects in America.
Well, it's so interesting when yes. And it's so interesting that when you're dealing with kids to be able to understand what their value is, right? If I'm looking at this, if I'm a kid, you go to IMG because you want to play the best and you want to be developed. And that's happening, right? So then now when you're looking to go to the next level and you have a school like Texas that's recruiting you, that's already put out literally the best offensive lineman in the country, literally, you're about to be able to see this person go first round. You've seen, Christian Jones do what he's done. You've seen Connor Williams. You've seen these guys go to the league and have some success. It's kind of like, what else are we looking for, right? Texas is in the SEC now. So, you know, back in the day, it was like, oh, they have good players, but they're playing the Big 12. Well, now we're in the SEC. Now guys are dominating competition. You know, we've been to back-to-back college football playoffs. So, I don't know, man. We'll see what this kid chooses. But I will say this. I like him. He's very aggressive.
But I look at this and one thing to mention, Jerry and Tony, the new head coach at IMG is the former offensive line coach at Ohio State. He literally just got hired, last week, Jerry? Is on like Greg
Sternwater.
Yeah. So that's something to consider. I want to take you back after. Thanks for doing that, Tony, with us on Kenyatta Pepe out of IMG. I want to take you back to a couple of things you said earlier when you were talking about Arch and his differences in how you would block and maintain certain things based on what he can do. Yep. It sounded so eerily familiar and similar to what Brian Irwin, a friend of ours that is a former high school coach, state champion that does lunch with the coach with me, would talk about with Quinn, is that his pocket escape just was not necessarily natural or fluid or quick.
Yeah.
And that really hurt Texas in certain situations.
Yeah, because
it hurts the offensive linemen having to hold the block a little bit longer, et cetera, and doesn't allow them necessarily to turn and be aggressive as quickly. That's exactly what it reminded me of when you were making that explanation for everybody.
Yes. No, he's spot on, Bobby. The reason being, though, is because it forces the offensive line to have to be perfect on every single play, and that's just not possible. I mean, those guys, we used to have a saying in the league, like, you know, you get beat, you know, as an offensive lineman. It's like, well, shit, those guys get paid too. You know, well, in this era, on the other side, those guys get paid too. And so you're not going to be perfect on every play. So you need your quarterback. That's the part when we talk about the quarterback has to make a play. And here's the thing. We're like, look at it. This is so easy to point out because, I mean, obviously he's a Manning. But look at Peyton. I don't think any of us would say that Peyton Manning is an escape artist, right?
No.
But he was smart enough, Tom Brady too. He was smart enough to understand when he needed to move, when the play was done, when it was over, how to extend the play with his legs. He could get first downs, right? So it doesn't mean you have to be out here blazing, running 4.5s and 4.4s as a quarterback. You have to be able to have mobility to either extend the play, right? Or to understand when the play is done. When I look at Quinn, as great as a career that he has, the one word that comes to me about Quinn, actually there's two. It's systematic. So he's a systematic quarterback, and robotic. That's what I looked at. It would look to me at times where, like, if the progression, it's like he's taught something, and then if that thing doesn't happen exactly the way that it's taught, now everything breaks down, right? And in those moments, that's when you want to see your quarterback make something happen, anything. And he showed that he could do it. I'll never forget when they were in the championship, the flip pass that he got. Yeah. Those type of plays are what we're talking about. We're not talking about going out there and being Lamar Jackson. We're talking about making those type of plays, and we just didn't get enough of that from him. Hopefully at the next level, if he gets an opportunity, that's something that, you know, he develops and he can work on. But I think those are the biggest difference that I saw.
Hey, Tony, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. Make sure you take Vaughn Lane down to Austin next week. We'll have you ready to go and roll. And I think I've got some good plans for Fan Appreciation Day. Hope everybody will be able to meet you and hang out with us for a little bit on that Saturday. Thanks, Tony.
Absolutely, guys. Hook 'em.
Hook 'em, bud. What a good guy. Just always with a good outlook on everything. Blake, I got to tell you this. He may have just named you in that opening. He called you a smooth criminal. That's like that's kind of like Blake's MO, I think. You are a smooth criminal.
That's an idea for a baseball bat. Just call it smooth criminal.
Yeah, I mean,
a really good hitter.
I need to get with War Stick and get something going here.
Yes.
All right, well, speaking of getting something going, guys, I need to tell everyone out there today about Prize Picks, because Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to everyone. They're the best way to get in on action in more than 30 states, including California, Georgia, and right here in the great Lone Star State. Cash in on the basketball playoffs with Prize Picks. Don't miss your last chance to add your favorite players from the court to your lineup. Whether it's points, rebounds, assists, take your pick of more or less for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your money today. And you can mix and match player projections from different sports as well. Combine your favorite basketball players with players from baseball, hockey, esports, whatever may be going on. And this morning I was looking at it. I put in some new picks, which include former Longhorn Miles Turner having more than 4.5 rebounds, Steph Curry to have less than 4.5 3-pointers made, and Klay Thompson to have more than 1.5 assists. I invite you to come join me in those picks, or obviously go make your own. Download the app today. Use code ONTexas to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. They're going to give you $50. Just head to the App Store, download the app today, use promo code ONTexas to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks. Run your game.
Betting against Steph Curry from the 3-point line.
Hey,
not the smartest move there, my man. Not the smartest move. Hey, I also want to tell folks about our friends over at Mint Mobile. Do you say data or data? At my house, we say data. And for the longest time, I thought paying a fortune on my monthly data plan was just normal. Hello, AT&T. That was until I found out about Mint Mobile and their premium wireless plans that start at just $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium wireless service from Mint Mobile for just $15 a month. No matter how you say it, don't overpay for it. Shop data plans at mintmobile.com/OnTexas. That's mintmobile.com/OnTexas. The upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5 gigabyte plan is required. It's equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Then full price plan options are available. Taxes and fees are extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Remember, mintmobile.com/OnTexas.
There's a really good question that I wanted to hit on. Where was this? Joshua Bennett. Jerry Bobby, who's the best high school running back you've seen in the last 10 years? I thought about that while y'all were doing your reads, and one guy came to mind in the last 10 years that I thought was tremendous, and that was Najee Harris as an all-around running back. He, obviously at Alabama, rushes for over 1,000 yards in the pros every year, but unbelievable. I happened to see him in high school at Under Armour camp. Unbelievable pass catcher out of the backfield with size, 6'2", 225. Really good vision, patient runner, had power, really good in pass pro. So just thinking about the last 10 years, that guy was a great all-around back. Coming out.
Best highlight tape you're ever going to see is Bijan. I mean, what did he average? Like 15 yards a carry? I mean, now he's playing against different competition than Najee Harris did in Northern California, but over in Tucson. But Bijan, from that standpoint, is going to be about as impressive as you're going to see because of the highlight reel. What Jerry's talking about is that guy that can hit the home run, can buckle up in between the tackles and run inside zone, and then also hit you bad out of the backfield. I see where Jerry's going with it. Has there been just a unreal running back though? I mean, Bijan's probably as close to it. I don't know. So that's a fair question. Running back has changed so much.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be the it position. What year was Leonard Fournette?
2013.
So a little bit more than 10 years.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? What's interesting about Leonard Fournette is I was ESPN Under Armour at the time, and it didn't show up in high school because he was so much better. But at the Under Armour game, he was slow to see the cutback. And I always remember that. I was like, because the whole pinch is quicker, right? Your vision has to be really, really good. He was slow to see the cutback. I guess I saw it like 5 or 6 different times that week at Under Armour, and I was like, that may be an issue. That may be an issue long term with him.
Yeah, we'll see how much of an he's made a hell of a lot of money in the NFL. The thing that I liked about him too, Jerry, he played a little bit. I always like the guys that also play a little bit of defense, right? And also return kicks. Leonard Fournette did all of that. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
All right. Hey, a quick note, real quick, from Texas baseball. They just made a schedule change. Obviously, Easter weekend, which we knew the games were going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but the times have now changed as well. Thursday at 7 o'clock for game 1, followed by Friday at 6 o'clock and Saturday at noon. So hosting a very talented top 10 Auburn team.
And that's also due to weather on Sunday, I have a feeling.
Yeah, not on Sunday because they weren't going to have it on Sunday.
It's been. No, because
it's been Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay,
yeah,
Sunday's rough weather.
Yeah.
So
my point on this is thank you to the Texas SID for getting that over to us. That's important and good news for people so that they can plan ahead. All right, y'all mind if I do a little recount of what's going on today before we get to questions and comments from everybody? So portal opened this morning at 12:01 a.m. There had already been some guys go into the portal that were either had their coaches fired, like Emmett Mosley at Stanford, who Texas picked up, the wide receiver, like Jaden Ott at Cal, who is a grad transfer. So the running back was able to sign with Oklahoma yesterday. But regular portal opened 12:01 this morning. We are monitoring that for a number of different possibilities at the University of Texas. We think Texas needs a tight end, a defensive end potentially, definitely needs an interior defensive lineman, and then Sark and Brandon Harris, those guys we think are going to be Jeff Banks, Johnny Nansen, the whole crew, going to be very calculated and go after guys that really fit that they think can help them win a championship, frankly. Other news around the country as it relates to the portal of note, Nico Iamaleava officially went into the portal. He went in with a no contact tag. To Jerry's point earlier, that does not mean that he knows exactly where he's going. It's just that he's going to control the narrative of who he reaches out to. And the second thing, I just want to add this. West Virginia, according to Blake in our text back and forth, has now had 25 players enter the portal. Over 25 players enter the portal in a single day. So Rich Rod up at West Virginia, hello. Last thing I want to mention is our friend Jerry, Major Applewhite, is losing his quarterback at South Alabama. Apparently, that's who North Carolina is going to get is Gio Lopez, the South Alabama quarterback. Major, of course.
Those mid-major jobs are no man's land, man.
They really are. It's just so hard.
Basketball and football, man. Good luck to you, dude. It's just it's just because you can't replace that guy. There's literally no chance. Those jobs are no man's land. Yeah. Hey, by the way, on the West Virginia kids, none of the kids that have gone in yet are some of their elite players. So it looks like Rich is just turning over the roster to me right now, unless some of their key guys start jumping in.
Who's that?
West Virginia.
Yeah, they're mostly backups, probably.
Yeah.
Well, they're putting their money where their starters are.
Yeah, exactly. And
and he's just reapportioning the House settlement. So the problem with a lot of this is the House settlement hasn't been approved yet. And so if you're some of these guys, you're hoping the House settlement gets done so that your collective can actually pay you. Whereas Texas and Ohio State and Georgia and teams like that, they don't really, either way, it's going to happen. Either way, it's going to happen. So that's why Texas is such a no offense to other teams around the country, such a safe bet when you start talking about NIL.
Yep. Okay, and we got some super chats this morning. First from my son, who should be in class. Good morning, Colt. Thank you.
Colt, you're down to like a month and a half,
Yeah.
less than a month and a half of school. So we're looking for a lot of super chats this summer from Colt.
And he'll be in workouts all summer. He don't have time to super chat.
It's what happens when you raise a smooth criminal. Yeah.
And then our friend Jack here. Thank you, Jack. He says prediction. We get Cal tight end reasons. What tight end doesn't want to play in Sark's system and catch passes from Arch?
It's a hell of a good reason to be and compete for a championship and probably have a really good NIL, as good as you're going to get. But what we hear there is if he does indeed go in, it's been reported he's going to go in, but my understanding is the paperwork, at least as of yet, I mean, it could happen any minute, hasn't actually gone through. We'll see what that means, but Indiana is expected to be the favorite. I'm interested to see whether he goes in with a no contact tag or not, because if he does, then Indiana. And the reason we say Indiana is not only that they have a little bit of an upstart program. The quarterback at Indiana is Nathan Mendoza. He was the Cal quarterback last year. For those unaware, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, Jack Endries is the number 2 returning tight end in the country out of Cal, according to Pro Football Focus. And he has been mentioned as possibly going into the portal by a couple different services. So we're tracking that because Texas obviously needs a tight end at this point.
And then we have a super chat here from Luck and Horns. Thank you for your super chat. We appreciate you. He said, been out of the country for a week. What are the early returns on the new coaches? Who's making a difference? And the loaded question, how will this team be different this year?
Early returns on the new coaches, really the pieces that are getting put into place outside of the running back coach, Chad Scott, is all in the secondary. I mean, they lost both Terry Joseph and Blake Gideon, replacing them with Dwayne Akina, obviously, Mark Orfe, and Kenoto Hudson. And, Jerry and I have both been told they're tweaking a little bit of their secondary look and how they play in the secondary. Maybe to be a little more aggressive at times, Jerry and Blake. So what does that mean? I don't know yet. I'd be lying to tell you this is the way it's going to be or how it's going to be. I think we're going to have to wait and see maybe what happens this fall as far as that's concerned. How will the team be different this year? I mentioned a little bit of that, a little bit of the scheme difference that might happen. The bigger piece for me, I think, is how aggressive does Texas become on defense if this pass rush is as good as we think it might be. I mean, when Georgia had all those guys up front getting after the passer, they could be extremely risky on defense because they knew their guys were going to get home. And so how will the team be different this year with a Colin Simmons back and everything else they have rushing the passer? I don't know. That's where one of the key things I'm trying to figure out, really. Like, is Texas going to be a little bit more risky than Pete Kwiatkowski? And Pete Kwiatkowski is not a heavy blitz guy, Jerry. Never has been.
No.
And so I just wonder how different he might be if they're able to get the type of guys at defensive end that they have. I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because PK is not a heavy blitz guy, not a heavy man guy. So how much Texas changes or adjusts or adds to what they do defensively. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it all mixes and matches together because we know where PK is most comfortable as a D coordinator. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of put it all. I don't want to say piece it all. That's not what you do with as much talent as Texas has. Put it all together. By the way, I wanted to mention on basketball recruiting, we'd said yesterday, just real quick, that Sean Miller was going to hit the road today and go see Austin Gooseby and the other, probably Dakari Spirit, the Colony, the 2026 kids. So him and Coach Uric Malagi were just up at Melissa High. I'm sure they'll make their way over to the Colony to see Dakari Spear, Faith Family, to say Davian Atkins. Just a little bit of Austin Gooseby from this weekend. Tremendous prospect. I mean, going to be an NBA basketball player in my estimation. I've watched him a number of times, and his game just keeps developing. He's almost into a combo guard role now, 6'5.5", going to really good chance to be McDonald's All-American. And I think Texas leads at BYU, SMU, Kansas right now. I do think Alabama's going to offer him soon, and Duke may offer him too. And that's what happens when you're a top 25, top level kid in the country. But Austin Gooseby was the first stop for Sean Miller this morning, as we'd expect. Then another note on hoops recruiting that's kind of going to be a fun one just to follow. I'm just going to be following the kids, period, whatever, no matter what happens with Texas. But last night, Texas offered the 6'11" twin sons of Theo Ratliff, former NBA star, Adonis and Darius Ratliff. They're up in White Plains, New York at Archbishop Stepinac. Texas offered the two 6'11" twins who are very skilled power forwards. They're in the class of 2026. So while Texas still has 2 or 3 spots to finish up their roster for 25-26 season, they're really starting to make some moves here in 2026 high school recruiting. And I expect Sean Miller will sign a 3, maybe 4-man class out of the high school ranks in this first class. Doesn't mean all classes will be, but the 2026 high school class is really good. And I think you want to build some foundational pieces. And Bo Ogden played really well last weekend too, up in Dallas. I saw Austin Gooseby, Ogden, Dakari Spear, a lot of those guys last weekend. So I think Bo Ogden, it's a good place to be for Sean Miller in his first full class at Texas. That Austin Gooseby has a lot of ties to Texas, and Bo Ogden, obviously, y'all know his ties. You got to go get it done in recruiting, but those are 2 guys that are they're very, very good players. Bo Ogden's be a really good college player, could really shoot it, makes great decisions with the ball, very physical, loves contact, loves the physicality of the game, is really skilled on the perimeter. So Texas in a pretty good spot, and we'll see how it all plays out. It's a ways out before these guys start making official visits and making decisions.
And speaking of things that you love, Jerry, why don't you take this opportunity to tell everyone about Gooder?
Yeah, I can do that. I think you're putting up the photo of the Texas Gooders while I read this. Stylish Stunnies, starting at only $25 a pair. 1-year warranty, 30-day free returns. I just got to read it. I love the Gooders. Why? Lightweight and comfortable, 100% polarized, no slip, no bounce. They're great if you're jogging, cycling, riding bike, whatever you're doing at the beach. No bounce. From vibrant colors to sleek styles, there's a pair of Gooders for every personality, designed for both everyday wear, driving 3 hours in the car with the sun glaring on you. Good time for some Gooders. And active individuals that love to run, hike, bike, and much more. You can wear them anywhere, playing pickleball, playing tennis with the Burtons, on a hike, going to the beach, on a run, at the baseball field with Colt, watching him get after with Blake, seeing Colt swing the baseball bat because they're so affordable. You don't have to worry about losing or breaking them. You can have a pair for every occasion. If you need a new pair of Sunnies, Gooder is giving On Texas football listeners free shipping. You go to gooder.com/OnTexas and use that code OnTexas for free shipping. Gooder offers a 30-day money-back guarantee and 100% satisfaction. My final part of the read, because I know Colt Monroe's listening, a home run Friday, Dad gets you a new pair of Gooders. Guaranteed.
Hey, Jerry, you forgot. We need to mention this. We talked about the baseball date or time changes, Blake, for this weekend. We forgot one other thing about baseball. Longhorns beat up on Texas Rio Grande Valley last night and remain the #1 team in the country this morning. So that's why Jerry is mentioning Gooders so well, because he usually wears them when a University of Texas squad is #1 ranked in the country. I want to say thank you also to one of our key sponsors here. That's Adam Lowy, the Lowy Law Firm. You've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, make sure you reach out to Adam and his firm, LowyLawFirm.com. They'll give you a free, no strings attached consultation about whether or not they think you might be due compensation because of an injury that you incurred during an automobile accident. Again, that's LowyLawFirm.com. Adam, thank you once more for your support of On Texas Football.
All right, y'all, we got time for a couple more questions before we get out of here today. And we actually have a super chat from Slick Rick. Thank you, Slick. And he says, Sark wants his offensive tackles to be athletic. Turntine would be an excellent fit for that. Plus, he has the intelligence. Is Turntine the best fit for Texas of all recruits in the 2026 recruiting class?
Man, look, he'd be a great fit. It's academic, athletic recruitment. Obviously, a couple of sisters in the Austin area. One goes to Houston Tillerton. Tremendous football player. I think he's a tremendous football player. Look, I think there's a lot of guys. One of the things yesterday, if y'all haven't listened to the KJ Edwards interview that we have up from my stop at Carthage, that's one of the things that Texas is doing. They're doing a great job recruiting a lot of really good fits. And I want to say that because I feel like if I single a couple of guys out as the best fits, then that may be kind of misspeaking a little bit. I think they're doing a great job finding a lot of the really good fits. And look, there's different types of personalities out there. Jamie French had as fun a personality as any kid I've ever recruited that actually signed with Texas. Just amazing personality. Then you have the guys who are out there on social media more, right? Then you have the guys who are more like John Turntine, who aren't out there on social media a lot, or more of the quiet guys in terms of kind of putting themselves out there through social media. But doesn't mean they're not great fits. It's just, I think there's a lot of those guys. I really do.
And let's see here. Our next question, fellas, comes. Actually, I answered this in the chat, but I want to put it up one more time. JDH says, Blake, it's payday. Hit me with that link for the OTF hats, brother. And that's shop.ontexasfootball.com. In fact, I'll put the graphic up here for just a moment, but go get you a mug, go get you a hat. Shop.ontexasfootball.com, JDH. Hopefully that helps you out and you hear this. Okay, our next question comes from King Me. And Jerry, more recruiting. Has Texas moved the needle with any blue chips recently?
Oh, yeah. I thought they had a great weekend last weekend. I mean, we mentioned it here on Texas football and here. Look, James Johnson, Drake Quinn, James Johnson, a D lineman that's currently at North Fort Myers. He's transferring to Miami Northwestern. He was the one guy that came in last weekend. And I said this, Texas had the farthest to go to actually get to official visit with him. Georgia, Florida, Miami, way out in front in that recruitment. I think they had a great first visit to Texas. And where Texas is strong is that first impression visit. It worked with Jamie French, Charles Sharma, Grayson Littleton, Zealous Hicks back last spring. He was at 27 at the time. They're really good in this scenario. And I thought Texas did well with Damari Simeon, the D lineman out of Richland, St. Aug in New Jersey. I think he'll take an official visit. I think James Johnson will end up taking an official visit. Now, he's going to have to move some dates around. That'll be what's interesting to watch there. Luke Waffle, obviously. Hayward Howard, the corner out of Edna Carr, immediately scheduled an official visit. Dre Quinn, the edge out of Greater Atlanta, Christian in Norcross, Georgia, in the Atlanta area, immediately put in June 13th through 15th OV, which means he had to move some of his dates around, which is a really good sign for Texas. I think Xavier Griffin, the five-star linebacker, USC commit, will probably take an official visit to Texas if it goes down that path from a Texas perspective as well. So I think Texas did. Samari Matthews already really liked Texas. He's got the June 13th official visit coming up. And I think April 26th, there's going to be a number of guys on campus as well for the first time. Kendall Gerville, the D lineman from Fort Myers, who's one of the top D linemen in the country. Vodney Cleveland from Birmingham Parker. You go down the list. I put some of those out on OnTexasFootball.com yesterday. I think Texas did it really well last weekend with the guys. Mason James, the receiver from Norman North, really enemy territory. Holy heck, he can probably see the John Mateer statue from his high school. But he is a guy that will probably visit Texas either June 13th or June 20th as well. This the receiver out of Norman North, Mason James, who was in last weekend. So Texas did very well. They had a really good weekend, a strong weekend as they should. Great weather, good football team, a lot of talent on hand, a lot of really good personalities on the team that you kind of meet those guys in the Texas locker room or whatnot when you're on visits. It was a really good visit weekend, and there's so much going on at Texas right now. Just a lot of positivity around the university as a whole in athletics, period. I mean, you saw it with the basketball visits. I mean, it was last weekend they had football guys on campus. They had basketball official visitors, 3 of them, and guys that were going to Texas, Traore, then Matas, and then Camden Heidi. Then basketball had a couple of official visitors. Like, we need to mention something there in a second. So there's so much positive vibes at Texas right now. If you have a bad visit, you really messed up as a Texas coach at this point. Like, we need to mention basketball visitors, right?
Yeah.
It's up to you. You go for it, dude.
We can. Texas is hosting a visitor this week who is currently on campus, and possibly a couple more. We'll see what happens there.
Is this Texas women's basketball?
Women.
Okay.
Yeah. So we just wanted to say Vic does have visitors. They have 2 transfer portal players committed right now, and now I think they're going after the guard position.
Yeah,
we'll report more on that when we can.
Definitely, for sure. And I did see they got Hose signed along with Cunningham, Brady Cunningham, both of them signed, sealed, delivered. So that's a done deal as well. All right, guys, we need to give a happy birthday here. If I can find the thing. Where did it go? Oh, Travis Acton says, hook 'em. My twins are 6 today. Great day to be a Longhorn. Happy birthday to your twins. That's awesome. Hope they have a very, very happy birthday.
6'11" futures, like the Ratliffs. 6'11". I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll be counting on you.
And then Jeff Carey here with the super chat. Thank you, Jeff. He says, which of your sponsor products do you use?
Well, I don't need this one. I use this one, and I use this one.
Me too. Me too. Me too. Jerry, you use your Gooders?
So
I use my Gooders so much I've lost them.
Yeah. BKCW we actually use them as a business insurance here at On Texas Football. Duck Camp, Gooder, Mint Mobile, Prize Picks, Vaughn Lane,
Ridge Wallet,
Kovas. I mean, I use all. I pretty much don't endorse something I won't use. So that's the way it is.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and we have time for one final question today, guys. And Bobby, someone's putting you on the spot for once instead of Jerry. King Me says, Bobby, how many booms are you expecting?
Today. No, like
I was going to leave off today and leave it open.
Yeah. Is it possible? Ridge Wallet, man, that was another one that I love.
I love my Bird Dog shorts. By the all the Bird Dog stuff they sent me are awesome, guys. If y'all have Bird Dog shorts, there.
Yeah. How many booms are you expecting today? My take on this is I don't know that I expect any. Could one come? Yes. All right. But that would have to be just this amazing turnaround of somebody that is going in the portal and then gets on campus. Just a lot of things would have to happen really quickly. I will say that there's some sense of urgency by some players to get to that point prior to, and I want to say this, prior to the house settlement being made. Okay, so there's some value in that for players. I would just say I don't think it's likely today, but I'm not putting it out of the realm of possibility. I think Thursday, Friday, by Friday, that's much more likely. That's my take on it right now.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. I want to thank Adam, along with Prize Picks, Mint Mobile, Mando, and Gooder, all for sponsoring today's show. And, of course, thank you all for tuning in. The great questions, the super chat. Don't forget, we can't get to all your questions. We can't be on here all the time. So head on over to ontexasfootball.com. Further the discussion over there. Great community. You will love to be a part of it if you aren't already. And you can easily become a part of it by using promo code OTFOG when you sign up. That'll save you a little money. You'll lock in an annual subscription for just $49.95. But again, only if you use the promo code OTFOG at ontexasfootball.com. And Bobby, what can people expect later today here on YouTube?
Absolutely. So first of all, state of the program coming up. Rod Baber sitting in for me. I've got something I've got to attend to today. Jerry Hamilton also going to be on with him. And then Jeff and CJ are going to be at Moncrief Newhouse for the player availability that happens around 11 a.m. We also have a live stream later tonight. Got a lot of stuff for you guys. And I just want to reiterate, make sure you are checking out on TexasFootball.com right now, because if news breaks and it's not a commitment as it relates to the portal, that is where we will be putting that news out. So again, on TexasFootball.com.
There you go. Well, we will be back same time, same place tomorrow. Also, big thank you to Tony Hills for joining us today. Almost forgot that. Appreciate you, Tony, as always. But yeah, so we will see you guys tomorrow. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.